What if I told you that the very people you've been running after, the ones you text first, call first, chase down for a reply, bend over backwards to impress, what if I told you they see that desperation and it doesn't make them value you, it makes them dismiss you? Think about it. You send that message, you wait, no reply. You see them online, they're active, but they ignore you. Your stomach drops, your confidence takes a hit, and still you try again. You're chasing a ghost that doesn't even care you exist. And let's be honest, deep down, you know it. Here's the truth. People rarely ignore you by accident. Ignoring you is their answer. It's not about not seeing your worth. It's about you not seeing it. Because when you keep chasing, you're telling the world, I don't believe I'm enough unless you choose me. And that's a dangerous lie to live by. So let me ask you, what would happen if today, right here, you stopped running after people who don't even turn their head for you? What if instead of knocking on closed doors, you started building your own? I'll tell you what happens. Your power comes back. Because the moment you stop chasing people who ignore you, you stop handing them control over your time, your energy, your self-worth. And that's the first step to becoming unstoppable. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, grab your phone, and the first thing you do is check if they texted you back. You scroll, refresh, stare at the screen, hoping to see their name pop up. Nothing. But instead of moving on with your day, you let that silence dictate how you feel about yourself. You think, what did I do wrong? Why aren't they answering me? Maybe if I try again, maybe if I say it differently, maybe if I show them I care more, and suddenly your worth, your value, your confidence is no longer in your hands, it's in theirs. You've handed it over. That is the danger of chasing people who ignore you. You abandon yourself to prove to someone else that you're worthy, and here's the harsh truth. If you need to prove your worth to them, you've already lost. You see, valuing yourself isn't just some motivational phrase we throw around. It's not just about loving yourself in the mirror or posting affirmations online. It's about what you tolerate. It's about what you allow. It's about the choices you make every single day that either build your self-respect or tear it down. When you continue to chase people who dismiss you, you're sending yourself a powerful message. I am not enough unless I convince them otherwise. That is self-betrayal, and it cuts deeper than anyone else's rejection ever could. Think of it like currency. Imagine walking into a store with $100 bill. You know its value. You know it can buy things, but what if you walked up to the cashier and begged them to take it? Please, please, accept this bill. I promise it's real. I promise it has value. I'll even give you more if you just acknowledge it. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? And yet that's exactly what you do when you beg for attention from people who clearly show you they don't want to give it. The bill doesn't lose value because someone refuses it. It remains $100, and you don't lose value because someone refuses to see you. The only way you lose value is if you decide to throw yourself away. The first step is to understand this. Your value is not negotiable. It's not up for debate. It doesn't decrease because someone ignores your call, your text, or your presence. But here's the catch. If you don't believe in your own value, no one else will. People treat you the way you show them to. And if you keep running after people who make no effort for you, what you're showing them is I will accept less. I will accept scraps. I will accept being ignored as long as I can stay close to you. That isn't love. That isn't respect. That's dependency. And dependency destroys self-worth. Let's get real for a moment. How many times have you been in a situation where you knew someone wasn't treating you right, but you still stayed? You still texted. You still checked in. You still showed up. And maybe you told yourself, if I just give it more time, they'll realize my value. But here's the reality. People rarely wake up to your value after you've trained them to believe they can give you nothing and still keep you around. That's not how human psychology works. If someone gets the benefits of your presence, your time, your energy without ever investing back, they won't suddenly decide to give more. Why would they? You've already shown them they don't have to. This is why valuing yourself has to come first. Because if you don't, you'll keep lowering your standards just to stay connected to someone who doesn't care. You'll keep trying harder and harder while they do less and less. And every time they ignore you, every time they dismiss you, you'll shrink a little more inside. Until one day, you don't even recognize yourself anymore. Here's a truth that might sting. People ignore you because they can. They ignore you because you allow them to. They ignore you because somewhere along the way, you decided their attention mattered more than your dignity. And the only way to break that cycle is to stop giving them the power to dictate how you see yourself. Valuing yourself looks like this. If they don't text back, you move on. If they don't call, you don't wait by the phone. If they don't make the effort, you stop making it for both of you. Not because you're playing games, not because you're trying to manipulate them into chasing you, but because you respect yourself enough to know that silence is an answer. Lack of effort is an answer. And the answer is, this is not for me. Think about the energy you waste chasing, the late nights waiting for replies, the overthinking, the constant second-guessing. What if you took all of that energy and poured it into yourself, into your goals, into your health, into your passions, into building the kind of life that excites you so much you don't have time to notice who isn't texting back? When you shift that focus, something powerful happens. You stop needing validation from those who ignore you because your life itself becomes the validation. And let me tell you something else. The people who are meant for you, the ones who truly value you, will never make you question where you stand. They won't ignore you. They won't dismiss you. They won't make you beg for their time, because people who recognize your worth don't gamble with it. They protect it. They honor it. They match your effort. So here's the challenge. Stop asking, why don't they see my value? And start asking, why don't I? Stop asking, why won't they choose me? And start asking, why am I not choosing myself? The moment you start valuing yourself first, everything changes. You walk differently. You speak differently. You stop chasing and you start attracting. Because nothing is more magnetic than someone who knows their worth and refuses to settle for less. And remember this. Silence is not rejection. Ignoring you is not rejection. The real rejection is when you reject yourself by continuing to chase those who don't care. Choose you every time. Because when you choose yourself, you teach the world how to treat you. Picture this. You send someone a message, you pour a little of yourself into it, maybe even hit send with a nervous excitement. Minutes pass, hours, days, nothing. That silence hits you like a punch to the gut. You replay the last conversation. You overanalyze every word, every emoji, every tone. You tell yourself maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they're busy. Maybe if you try again, the outcome will be different. But in reality, that silence is the outcome. You've been rejected. Maybe not with words, but with absence. Now, most people stop right there and make that moment mean something about their worth. I'm not good enough. I wasn't interesting enough. I don't matter. And once you attach those meanings, rejection feels like the end of the road. But what if it isn't? What if rejection isn't a wall, but a redirection? What if instead of closing your life down, it's pointing you toward the path you were supposed to be on all along? Think about the times in your life where you desperately wanted something to work out. Maybe it was a person, maybe it was a job, maybe it was an opportunity. You put your heart into it, you thought it was yours, and then it slipped away. At the time, it felt devastating. But then weeks, months, maybe years later, you look back and realize that wasn't for me. If I had gotten what I wanted, I would have been stuck or hurt or limited. That rejection turned out to be a blessing. It redirected you to something better. We rarely see it in the moment, because in the moment, rejection feels personal. It feels final, but it's not. Rejection is just information. It's feedback. It's life's way of saying, not this way, not this door. There's something else waiting. The problem is that most of us spend so much time pounding on closed doors, we miss the open ones right beside us. Let's make this real. Imagine standing in front of a locked door. You knock. No answer. You knock harder. You call out. Still nothing. And instead of walking away, you sit down in front of that door. You spend days there. Weeks. You cry. You beg. You bargain. You tell yourself that if you just knock long enough, eventually it will open. Meanwhile, behind you, there are other doors, open doors, doors that lead to people who actually want you in their lives, jobs that actually value your skills, opportunities that actually match your purpose, but you'll never see them because you're too focused on a door that was never meant for you. That's the tragedy of chasing rejection. You confuse a dead end with destiny. Here's the truth. Not every person is for you. Not every opportunity is for you. And that's not a flaw. That's design. Imagine if everyone liked you, if every single person wanted to be around you, if every single door opened. How would you ever know where you truly belong? You wouldn't. Rejection is the filter. It removes the wrong fits so you can find the right ones. And let's take it deeper. When someone ignores you, when someone rejects you, it reveals more about them than it does about you. Maybe they don't have the capacity to handle what you bring. Maybe they're not in a place to appreciate it. Maybe their vision is too small for what you're capable of. Does that make you less valuable? Absolutely not. It just means you were knocking on the wrong door. But here's where most people get stuck. They personalize rejection. They see it as a statement of their worth instead of what it really is, a statement of direction. Think about a GPS. If you're driving and you take the wrong turn, the GPS doesn't say, "You're a terrible driver. You don't deserve to be on the road. You're worthless." No, it simply says, "Recalculating." It redirects you toward the right route. That's exactly what rejection does. It recalculates your path. It's not here to define you. It's here to guide you. And sometimes rejection comes to save you. Imagine begging to be in a relationship with someone who ignores you. You might think you're losing the love of your life, but what if life is saving you from years of neglect, heartbreak, and pain? Imagine pleading for a job that rejects you. You might think you're losing your dream, but what if that job would have drained you, undervalued you, or capped your growth? Sometimes the doors that slam shut are the very doors that would have trapped you inside. The real test is not whether you'll be rejected. That's guaranteed. The test is how you'll respond. Will you collapse and define yourself by the no? Or will you recognize it as a redirection, take the lesson, and move forward stronger? And let's not pretend this is easy. Rejection hurts. It stings. It bruises the ego. But that pain doesn't have to break you. It can build you. Because every no that you survive is proof that you are stronger than you think. Every time someone ignores you and you choose not to chase, you reinforce your own self-worth. Every rejection you face becomes a stepping stone toward resilience, confidence, and clarity. So the next time you face rejection, I want you to pause. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me? What direction is this pointing me toward?" That shift in perspective changes everything. It transforms rejection from a dead end into a compass. It stops being a weight on your shoulders and becomes wind at your back. You were never meant to chase closed doors. You were meant to walk boldly toward the ones that open for you without resistance. Remember this, rejection is not the universe telling you you're not enough. It's the universe telling you, not here, not them, not this way. And if you trust that, if you keep moving, you'll find that rejection was never the end of your story. It was just the redirection you needed to get to the right chapter. Every time you chase someone who ignores you, you pay a price. You might not see it right away, but the cost is real and it's expensive. It's not just about the unanswered text or the call that goes to voicemail. It's about what you give up in the process. It's the energy you spend begging for crumbs when you could have been building a feast. It's the self-respect you hand over piece by piece just to stay in someone's orbit. And the saddest part is, you don't even notice the debt until it's already drained you. Think about how much time chasing actually takes. You check your phone over and over, waiting for that little bubble to light up. You craft the perfect message, rewrite it 10 times, hit send, and then agonize over the silence that follows. Hours slip away. Days slip away. How many dreams have you put on hold while you sat in that waiting room of someone else's attention? How many opportunities passed by while you were busy trying to convince someone to notice you? That is time you will never get back. And then there's the emotional cost. Every time you chase, you set yourself up for disappointment. You get your hopes up, only to be let down again and again. That cycle chips away at your confidence. It makes you question yourself, doubt yourself, criticize yourself. You start asking, what's wrong with me? Why don't they want me? Why am I not enough? And once you let those questions take root, they poison everything. Suddenly, you're not just doubting whether that one person values you, you're doubting whether anyone does. That's the emotional bankruptcy of chasing. You invest everything and end up with nothing but self-doubt. There's also a spiritual cost, and I don't mean religion, I mean your inner spirit, your energy, your sense of wholeness. When you chase someone who ignores you, you shift from living authentically to performing. You try to guess what they want, what they like, what will make them stay. You twist yourself into someone else just to hold their attention, and every time you do, you lose a piece of yourself. You become a watered-down version of who you really are. You silence your own voice, so theirs will be louder. That is spiritual debt. And it leaves you empty. Let's not forget the physical toll. Stress, anxiety, sleepless nights, the knot in your stomach when you don't hear back, the adrenaline spike every time your phone vibrates, even if it's just a notification that has nothing to do with them. Your body feels the weight of chasing. You carry it in your shoulders, your chest, your breath. Some of you even make yourself sick, headaches, exhaustion, burnout, all because you're pouring your life force into someone who won't even look your way. But here's the most dangerous cost, the cost of opportunity. For every hour you spend chasing someone who ignores you, that's an hour you could have been investing in yourself. That's an hour you could have been learning, growing, creating, connecting with people who actually see you. That's an hour you could have been moving closer to your goals. Instead, you hand it away for free to someone who doesn't care. And the truth is, while you're busy chasing, someone else out there is chasing their dreams. Someone else is building. Someone else is moving forward. And one day, you'll look back and realize the only thing you built was a tower of unanswered messages. Let's make this personal. Imagine two paths. On one path, you keep chasing. You spend your energy on people who ignore you. You wait by the phone, you sacrifice your joy, you live for scraps of attention. Years pass, and you're still there, stuck in the same cycle, hoping they'll change. That's a life of waiting. Now imagine the other path. You stop chasing. You take that energy and pour it into yourself. You focus on your career, your health, your passions. You connect with people who value you without needing to be convinced. You walk with your head high, knowing your worth is not up for debate. Which path would you rather be on? Because the difference between them is not luck, it's choice. And let's be brutally honest, chasing doesn't even work. Think about it. Have you ever truly won someone over by chasing them down? Maybe you got their attention for a moment, but did it last? Or did you find yourself right back where you started, ignored, dismissed, forgotten? Chasing doesn't create respect. It doesn't create love. It doesn't create loyalty. At best, it creates dependency, where someone takes advantage of your effort without giving anything back. At worst, it creates resentment, yours and theirs. You resent them for ignoring you. They resent you for pressuring them. Nobody wins. So why do we keep paying this cost? Because chasing feels easier than letting go. Letting go means facing the truth. That person doesn't want to give you what you want. That door isn't opening. That path isn't yours. And that truth is painful. But here's the irony. Letting go may hurt in the short term, but chasing hurts. Which pain would you rather carry? If you stop chasing, you don't just save time, energy, and dignity. You gain freedom. Freedom to focus on yourself. Freedom to attract the people and opportunities that actually align with you. Freedom to stop begging for love and start living in it. That freedom is priceless, but you can't buy it while you're still paying the endless costs of chasing. The cost of chasing is too high, and the return is always too low. You cannot build a meaningful life on the approval of people who ignore you. You cannot create joy by begging for it from someone else's pocket. You cannot grow while your roots are tangled in rejection. The price you pay for chasing is your peace, your confidence, your potential, and if you're not careful, it will bankrupt you completely. So ask yourself, what is chasing costing you right now? Your sleep? Your self-esteem? Your time? Your future? Whatever it is, I promise you this, nothing and no one is worth the price of betraying yourself. Stop paying for what was never yours in the first place. Save that energy. Save that respect. Save that love. Spend it where it actually matters, on yourself, on your growth, on the people who value you without being chased. Because once you do, you'll realize you were never meant to beg at closed doors. You were meant to build your own. Every single day you wake up, you're given a limited amount of energy. Think of it like a bank account. Some people call it time, some people call it focus, but at its core, it's energy. That's your currency. You get to decide where you spend it, who you spend it on, and what you invest it in. And just like money, if you throw it away on things that give you no return, you end up broke. Not broke financially, broke emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. When you chase people who ignore you, you're making one of the worst investments possible. It's like depositing your paycheck into a bank account that's been closed for years. You're pouring energy into a system that can't and won't give anything back. You don't grow, you don't profit, you don't even break even, you lose. And every time you lose, your balance gets smaller. Let's put it into perspective. Imagine you have 100 units of energy in a day. That's all you get. Now ask yourself, how much of that do you spend refreshing your phone, rereading old conversations, thinking about why someone hasn't texted back? How much do you waste crafting the perfect message, or worse, second-guessing the one you already sent? How much do you spend trying to prove your worth to someone who clearly doesn't see it? 10 units? Before you know it, most of your energy account is gone, and what's left for your own dreams, your own growth, your own life? Almost nothing. Now let's flip it. Imagine taking that same energy and putting it somewhere else. Instead of obsessing over people who don't care, you use that energy to push yourself at the gym, to learn a new skill, to call someone who actually lifts you up. You spend it building connections with people who answer your messages, who value your time, who reciprocate your effort. You invest it in reading, in planning, in creating. Suddenly, instead of draining your account, you're growing it. You're seeing results, returns, compounding benefits. That's how energy works. It grows when you put it in the right places. But the problem is, we treat energy like it's infinite. We act like we can chase people endlessly, without consequence. But look at your life right now. Aren't you tired? Don't you feel drained? That's not by accident. That's the cost of spending your energy where it doesn't belong. And the sad truth is, the people you're spending it on aren't even aware of it. They're not impressed. They're not suddenly going to respect you because you've exhausted yourself for them. They're just living their life while you're slowly running yourself into the ground. Think of your energy like water in a bucket. Every morning, your bucket starts full. But each time you chase someone who ignores you, it's like poking a hole in the side. A few drops at first, then a stream. Then before you know it, the bucket is half empty by noon. You can keep pouring more water in, but as long as the hole is there, you'll always be drained. And the worst part, the person you're draining yourself for isn't even thirsty. They don't want what you're pouring out. So why do we do it? Because on some level, chasing feels like action. It feels like progress. It feels like, if I just try harder, they'll finally see me. But that's an illusion. Real action, real progress is not about how hard you chase. It's about where you invest. If you were a business owner, would you keep investing in a project that never brought profit, no matter how much money you put in? Of course not. So why do you keep investing your energy in people who show you no return? The truth is, people who truly value you don't need to be chased. They don't need constant convincing. They give back what you give. They make deposits into your account just like you make deposits into theirs. That's how healthy relationships work. Mutual investment. If you're the only one spending, that's not a relationship. That's a transaction you'll never get paid for. And here's the kicker. Where you put your energy determines what kind of life you build. If you spend it chasing people who ignore you, you build a life of exhaustion, insecurity, and emptiness. But if you spend it on yourself, on your goals, your growth, your passions, you build a life of strength, purpose, and fulfillment. You get to decide which future you're financing with your energy today. Let me ask you this. If energy is currency, what's your balance right now? Are you in surplus, feeling strong, clear, focused? Or are you in debt, drained, anxious, constantly running on empty? If it's the second, chances are you've been spending too much on people who don't deserve it. And the only way out of that debt is to cut off the bad investments. That means stop giving your time to people who ghost you. Stop giving your effort to people who don't care. Stop giving your attention to people who only take and never return. Start saving that energy for yourself. Spend it where it grows. Spend it on the gym, on learning, on building your career, on strengthening relationships with people who actually answer when you call. Spend it on gratitude, on creativity, on building a life that excites you. Because here's the secret, when you spend energy wisely, it doesn't just replenish, it multiplies. The more you put into the right places, the more you get back. That's how you go from being drained and broke to being abundant and unstoppable. Your energy is the most valuable currency you have. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose possessions and replace them. But when you lose energy to the wrong people and wrong pursuits, you can't get that back. It's gone. The day is gone. The moment is gone. That's why you have to guard it like treasure, because it is treasure. So ask yourself right now, who am I funding with my energy? Am I financing people who build me up? Or am I subsidizing people who tear me down? Am I investing in my future? Or am I throwing away my present on people who couldn't care less? The moment you start treating your energy like currency, everything changes. You become more selective, more intentional, more powerful. You stop chasing because you realize chasing is the fastest way to go bankrupt. You start choosing because choice is how you build wealth, not just in your bank account, but in your spirit, in your confidence, in your life. So guard your energy, invest it wisely, and remember, if energy is currency, don't spend it where it never grows. Save it, use it, multiply it, and watch how your life transforms. There is a moment in everyone's life where they realize the most powerful move they can make is not to fight harder, not to beg louder, not to chase faster. It's to walk away. And let me tell you, walking away is not weakness. Walking away is not surrender. Walking away is the loudest, clearest statement of self-respect you will ever make. When you walk away from people who ignore you, you're saying, I refuse to put my dignity up for auction. I refuse to stay where I am not valued. I refuse to spend my life begging for attention that should come naturally. That is not quitting. That is reclaiming your power. Think about the times you stayed too long. In relationships, in friendships, in workplaces, you felt unseen, unheard, maybe even invisible. And instead of leaving, you convinced yourself to stay. You told yourself, if I try harder, if I give more, maybe they'll change. But did they? Or did you just get smaller and smaller, bending yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold you? That's the trap of chasing. It robs you of your power. And the only way to get it back is to stand up, turn around, and walk away. Walking away is not about punishment. It's not about making the other person feel guilty. It's not about proving a point. It's about clarity. It's about saying, this is not for me. This is not where I belong. This does not align with my worth. And that clarity is power, because once you have it, you stop waiting for people to change and you start changing your own life. Let me give you a picture. Imagine standing in front of a door that will not open. You've knocked, you've waited, you've begged, you've cried, and the door remains shut. You have two choices: keep standing there until your legs give out, or turn around and walk away. Now here's the part we forget. Behind you, down the hallway, there are other doors. Doors that will open. Doors that lead to people who see you. Opportunities that grow you. Environments that celebrate you. But you'll never find them if you're too afraid to walk away from the one that stays shut. Walking away also sends a message. Not to the person you're leaving, but to yourself. It says, I choose me. I choose peace. I choose dignity. Every step you take away from someone who ignores you is a step toward yourself. And with each step, your confidence grows, your clarity sharpens, your power returns. You stop being the person who waits to be chosen, and you become the person who chooses. Here's something most people don't understand. When you stop chasing, when you walk away, you shift the dynamic completely. Because the truth is, people often don't value what they don't have to work for. If you're always available, always waiting, always giving, they take you for granted. But when you walk away, you introduce scarcity. Suddenly your energy isn't free anymore. Suddenly your time isn't guaranteed. And often that's when they finally notice what they lost. But by then, it doesn't matter, because walking away wasn't about making them see. It was about you finally seeing your own worth, seeing your own strength, seeing that your life is too valuable to waste on closed doors. Of course, walking away is hard. It feels like loss. It feels like grief, because you're not just leaving a person or situation, you're leaving behind the version of yourself that tolerated less than you deserved. That's painful, but pain is temporary. Power is permanent. And the pain of leaving will fade much faster than the pain of staying in a place where you are ignored. Sometimes walking away is the only way to force people to meet you where you stand. As long as you chase, they know you'll always come back. They know they can ignore you today and you'll still be there tomorrow. But the moment you stop, the moment you remove yourself, the game changes. They either rise to your level or they stay behind. Either way, you win, because you're no longer stuck in limbo. Walking away also frees you from resentment. Think about it. How many times have you felt bitter, angry, or drained because you gave everything and got nothing back? That resentment builds like poison. It eats at you. But when you walk away, you cut off the source. You stop drinking from a well that was always dry. And in that space, you create room for peace. The truth is, walking away is not about proving strength to others. It's about proving it to yourself. It's standing tall, even when your knees are shaking. It's saying no to less so you can say yes to more. It's refusing to accept silence as love, neglect as care, or dismissal as attention. Walking away is the moment you stop waiting for people to respect you and you start respecting yourself. Here's what I want you to remember. Silence is not an invitation to scream louder. Indifference is not a challenge for you to prove harder. Ignoring is not a test for you to pass. Silence, indifference, ignoring, all of those are answers. And your response should not be to chase. It should be to walk away with power. Because power doesn't come from clinging. Power doesn't come from begging. Power doesn't come from forcing your way into someone's life. Power comes from knowing that your value doesn't decrease when someone fails to see it. Power comes from understanding that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is leave. So if you find yourself right now standing in front of a closed door, ask yourself, how much longer am I willing to stand here? How much more of my life am I willing to waste? And then imagine what it would feel like to turn around, to straighten your shoulders, to take that first step, to walk down the hallway, knowing there are doors waiting that will open without you having to break yourself to get in. Walking away doesn't mean the story is over. It means a new chapter is beginning. A chapter where you stop begging for love and start living in it. A chapter where you stop chasing people and start chasing purpose. A chapter where you stop giving your power away and start owning it fully. And one day you'll look back and realize walking away was the single most powerful thing you ever did, because it wasn't about losing them. It was about finding you. You've heard the message. You felt it in your gut. Stop chasing people who ignore you. Stop begging at doors that refuse to open. Stop handing over your energy, your time, your worth to people who can't or won't see it. That isn't strength. That's surrendering your power. And you weren't built to surrender. Every second you spend chasing is a second stolen from your growth, your goals, your peace. Every unanswered call, every ignored message, every moment of silence you try to explain away. It's not rejection of who you are. It's redirection toward who you're supposed to be. So today, make the decision. Draw the line. Say it out loud if you have to. I will no longer chase people who dismiss me. I will no longer beg for love, for attention, for value. I am enough. I choose me. And when you walk away, walk with power. Walk with dignity. Walk with the knowledge that you didn't lose anything. You gained everything. Because the moment you stop chasing, you free yourself to attract what's truly yours. People who see you, opportunities that grow you, a life that excites you. Remember this, you are not defined by who ignores you. You are defined by how you respond. And the strongest response you can give is not to run after them, it's to rise without them. So walk tall, walk free, and walk knowing this truth. Your worth is not up for negotiation. Never again.